Hi, I'm Laura Geis. Welcome back to the God Success Secrets video series. This is week 18 and our success secret this week says, seek to serve. Well, you know, back in the 1700s, there was a group of soldiers and they were in charge of moving this piece of heavy timber. And a corporal was standing nearby and he was cheering them on. Heave men, move that timber. Well, all of a sudden, another soldier comes up riding on horseback and he says, "Hey, Corporal, why don't you just get up and help these guys move the timber? Wouldn't that be better than just shouting at them?" And he says, "Who, me? I'm a corporal. I'm not going to help." So the man gets off of his horse, he helps move the timber, and then he turns around and he says to the corporal, "Next time you need help moving a heavy piece of timber, just call your commander-in-chief." The man who helped move the heavy timber was George Washington, who was the commander-in-chief of the whole army. Now, while the corporal wasn't willing to get up and help move the timber, the commander-in-chief was. And why is that? Because George Washington was a man who was willing to serve. And he was a success story. You know, there are more stories about George Washington that when he would go into battle, he always was at the front lines. He didn't cower behind his men. He was there with his men, and it said that several horses were shot out from under him, and he had bullet holes in some of his clothes because he wanted to be right out there in the action, serving alongside his men. And there was one point in the war where for a couple of years he was close to his home where he could have easily gone home and gotten a good night's rest and a good meal from Martha, a little loving on the side maybe, but he chose not to do that. He chose to stay with his men because he had a servant's heart. And when he became president, there was no talk of a big salary hike for this president. He did not take a salary while he was president. He wanted to serve his country. And near the end of the Revolutionary War, when the funds were running out, George Washington paid the soldiers out of his own pocket. So here was a man who was truly a servant. And a little piece of trivia, he was the only president we've ever had who was unanimously voted into office. So definitely George Washington was a success story, and I think we can learn some lessons from George and his willingness to serve. Now, I've probably told you before that my husband owns a small business, and in the month of August there are two conventions that we typically go to. They're buying conventions where we're buying products for our store. And the atmosphere at these two conventions is so strikingly different. I thought I would share with you because one company is definitely seeking to serve their customers and one company is out to get everything they can get for themselves. And then as I relate these stories to you, I want you to think about in your business or with your family, are you seeking to serve people or is it all about you? And I'm going to encourage you today to take the focus off of you and put it on serving others, and you will probably find a lot more success. So these two companies. The first one, we go into the meetings and everything is very positive and upbeat. The people that are attending the meetings are dressed very well and they're sharing ideas with each other. You know, this works in my store, and have you tried doing this? And everyone's brimming with ideas. And if you've had some kind of problem at your store, maybe a billing issue or a problem with one of your products, while you're there you can talk with the vendors, and you know, they're always like, anything we can do to help fix this problem, we want to do it. We want your business. And everything is very positive, and it's all about these vendors serving these small business owners because they realize that when the small business owners are successful, they will order more product and they in turn will be successful. So that's always a very positive convention that I attend. Well, the next one that we go to is another company, and I don't want to mention company names, but this one, the minute you set foot in the place, there's just this atmosphere of dread. People are even dressed kind of shabbily at this particular convention. There's a lot of complaining going on about the meals. I bet they're going to serve us this for dinner tonight, and I bet we're going to have to do this, and here comes that long-winded CEO we're going to have to listen to. And this is how the conversation goes throughout the whole weekend. It's all dread, complaints, and I noticed that this company, some of the things they do make you wonder, are they really trying to serve these people that they're selling product to? And I'll just give you one quick example. I live in Indiana, and in Indiana we don't do a lot of boating. We're not really near the ocean. But this company that we buy from, they sell some boating equipment. And it was their brilliant idea that instead of letting store owners place orders for what products they want and how many they want, that they would just automatically ship things to you so that all the stores had the same general merchandise. So we are shipped all these boating radios and all kinds of things that if you live by the ocean, I'm sure they're very practical, but they just sit on our shelves. But in that case, it was all about this company wanted to sell stock, and so they wanted to just make that automatic that they could ship that to us, and then we get a big bill for it. Now, is that really serving their customer? I don't think so. And there's just many, many examples like that where they'll come up with, if you buy this product, we'll give you a rebate for it. And then when you try to get your rebate back, you have to jump through so many hoops to get your money back. It is ridiculous, and it's quite obvious that they think people probably won't mess with this and then we can keep their money. So it's a totally different mindset with this second company. So our verse today says something about serving others, and it's kind of a long verse, but I want you to hear the whole thing and get the real flavor of it. It's found in 1 Peter 5 verses 2 and 3, and it says, "Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, serving as overseers, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being an example to the flock." So, we are to serve out of a willingness to serve, not because we want to get something in return. One time, when I was pregnant, I had a lot of problems with my legs and was having trouble moving around, and I had a friend who would come over and clean my bathrooms or wash the laundry for me, and she knew she was not going to get anything in return from me at that point, but she was just willing to serve. And when I think of a servant, that I always think of her in scrubbing my toilets when I couldn't do it. So she was a great example of a servant. But especially if you're in a business, maybe take the focus off of how can I make money, how can I get more customers, and instead put the focus on how can I really serve my customers? What are their needs, and how can I meet those needs? And then I think you're going to find more success. So today, let's practice serving others. So get out your journals. And if you don't have one, remember you can get a free one at www.godsuccesssecrets.com. And I want you to write down one way that you could serve someone this week. And it could be a family member, someone you work with, a friend, some way that you can serve someone. And if you can, you get bonus points if you can do this service anonymously. For example, last week at church, wait a minute, if I want it to be anonymous, I better not share it. So you work on serving someone this week and see how that serves you, and I'll see you next time.